Welcome everyone to another startup and automobile documentation. What we're looking at today is a 2020 Chevrolet Spark LS. This Spark is painted in silver ice metallic. You do have storage on the front door panels, but this is a very basic car, so you just have manual windows, locks, and mirrors. It has a jet black interior, and cloth seats are standard for LS models. Both front seats are manually adjusted, but with the driver you do still get height adjustment. But now that we're behind the wheel, let's go ahead and start the engine. The Chevy Spark was an affordable entry-level city car, even smaller than Chevy's own subcompact Aveo and Sonic. Although the Spark was sold in the US for model years 2013 through 2022, the model actually traces its roots back to 1998 in international markets, when the car debuted as the Daewoo Matiz. GM bought out Daewoo in 2002 and eventually started selling it as the Chevy Spark, among other names depending on the market. The Spark lasted 4 generations in total, and was built by Daewoo, which became GM Daewoo and then GM Korea. It wouldn't be until 2013 when the Spark made its US market debut, and it would go on to last 2 more generations from there. For a few years, there was also an all-electric version of the Spark sold in select US states from 2013 to 2016. When it was discontinued after 2022, the Spark was actually the cheapest new car in the US at that time, and subsequently the Trax crossover would replace the Spark as Chevy's cheapest model. This 2020 model represents the 4th and final generation of the Spark, codenamed M400, which was only the 2nd generation to be sold in the US. It lasted from model years 2016 through 2022 and was built on the General Motors Gamma 2 platform. 2019 saw the Spark receive a mid-cycle refresh. The US market 2020 model year Chevy Spark was offered in 4 trim levels: LS, 1LT, Active, and 2LT. The sole engine was a 1.4-liter inline-4 producing 98 horsepower. The 2 transmissions on offer included a 5-speed manual or this car's CVT automatic. Front-wheel drive was standard. In the instrument cluster, we have 2 analog gauges with your tachometer and speedometer, with your fuel gauge and everything else being digital. And this digital info display can be gone through via the controls on the turn signal stalk. So you have your elapsed time, trip computer, range, average speed, average fuel economy, etc. And then you can go to your tire pressure monitoring and that kind of stuff. But it's a very simple display, all things considered. It has a 3-spoke design steering wheel, does have sport grips, and there are no controls, but the steering wheel is tilt only. Fuse panels behind there. You have your traction control switch, along with your headlight switch and your panel dimmer, climate vent for the driver, manual mirror control for the driver as well. On this side, you have your high beam, turn signal, and information display stalk. And on this side, you'll find your wiper stalk. So going down the center of the interior, you have your touchscreen infotainment system, which we'll go over more in a bit. Some physical radio/infotainment system controls with your home and phone shortcut buttons, and your C-Track buttons and volume, power, and tuning knob. Your central climate vents are right here, along with your hazard switch. From there, you'll find a set of single-zone manual climate controls with your temperature and AC, fan speed and recirculation, and different zones and defrosters. You have some storage right here, along with a USB-A port, a USB-C port, and a 12-volt power outlet. Right there you have 2 cup holders in front of the shifter. Entering reverse does reveal a backup camera with guidance lines. A little bit of storage, and the hand-operated parking brake. The driver's seat also gets an armrest. A little bit of a storage shelf above the glove box. And both sun visors do have vanity mirrors. Grab handle for the front passenger, manually dimming rear view, and on the overhead console you have your passenger airbag indicator, OnStar, and your reading light. And here is the touchscreen infotainment system in this 2020 Spark LS. So what do we get? Well, we have our home screen right here, your radio info, phone info right now, outside temperature clock. But if we go to audio, we do have AM, FM, and Bluetooth audio streaming, which is nice. You can adjust the bass, mid, treble, equalizer, that kind of stuff. Phone for pairing a phone, Wi-Fi hotspot, settings, which has quite a lot of stuff to delve into via the settings for the vehicle, settings for the display itself, and you do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in here as well. As you can see, then OnStar, and then you hit this, you can activate OnStar turn by turn. But I mean, other than that, there's not much to this system. And for this car is really fascinating to me because it's not that often I get to check out a car as basic as this. This is, I mean, they quit making the Spark, but I mean, this is one of the cheapest cars in the country. Cheapest brand spanking new cars in the country. As you can tell by the window sticker, this car is basic. No options whatsoever. Base LS trim level. And this was what shocks me. 15 grand for a brand new car. I can't believe how cheap this thing was. And for me, someone like me, I'd be fine with this car, honestly. I mean, it's simple, cheap to maintain, good on gas. It's just relatively reliable transportation. For me, and probably a lot of people, the only luxuries they really care about are, does it have AC and heat? Great. And then Bluetooth audio, that's a big thing for me too. But other than that, not much to this car, but I really have an appreciation for basic entry-level cars like this. They serve a purpose, and I think they serve that purpose pretty well. But now we'll roll down the driver's window and have a look at the engine bay. The Spark LS rides on 15-inch steel rims with hubcaps. Powering the Spark is the Ecotec LV7 1.4-liter naturally aspirated inline-4 engine. It has an aluminum block end head as well as dual overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, and variable valve timing. Horsepower is rated at 98 at 6,200 RPM, and torque is rated at 94 pound-feet at 4,400 RPM. Directing power to the front wheels of this Spark is the optional, continuously variable automatic transmission with a low-gear mode. Running on regular unleaded with a 9-gallon fuel tank, EPA estimates for this Spark are 30 mpg in the city and 38 mpg on the highway. It has a McPherson strut front suspension and a compound crank rear suspension. Stopping the Spark are front disc brakes and rear drum brakes. You can fold the back seats down, 60-40 split. So first, space back here, I'm about 6'1", and this is, not surprisingly, a very tight, cramped back seat, but I would expect nothing less from a city car. And at least it does have a back seat, which is still usable. It's just not very comfortable. But if you need it for an emergency, you need someone to ride with you, you have it. And in terms of rear passenger amenities, well, you have coat hooks on either side, a map pocket on the back of the front passenger seat, and a little bit of storage, and a cup holder right here with a cutout for a mug handle, and one right there as well. Which I can say is still more rear passenger amenities than some other back seats. Single exhaust, rear wiper. The Spark provides 11.1 cubic feet of cargo space with the back seats up, which can be expanded to 27.2 cubic feet by folding the back seats down. And as seen earlier, the fuel cap is on the passenger side. Anyhow, thanks for checking out this tour of the 2020 Chevrolet Spark. And as always, stay on the lookout for future tours.